Turn off your lights. Make sure your doors and windows are locked. Things are about to get spooky. Welcome, new and old friends. This video is the third installment for Tell Me Another Dead Air. It's a cross-channel horror audio series edited by Jimmy Horror. If you're here early, please look in the notes for the link to video number 1. If you're right on time, well... Four mugs, 7 bowls, 2 forks missing. Ponch, probably. What the? Hey, did one of y'all print out a photo from last night? It's us, by the fire. First night here.
Wait, what? A photo? Like a Polaroid?
Looks like it. Definitely wasn't on the table yesterday.
That's weird. I don't remember anyone taking this.
Exactly.
You guys talking about that creepy picture?
Ooh, let me see. Who's that?
That's what I was about to ask.
There's 7 of us, and someone standing behind the log pile.
That wasn't there before.
Could be a shadow. Or double exposure. You know, a light trick.
This isn't film, it's digital. Someone printed this.
So either we forgot taking it, or someone else took it for us.
There's no glare, no blur. It's clean. But the figure's just... wrong.
Where'd you find it?
In the kitchen drawer, under the knives.
Of course it was.
What's behind the figure?
Nothing. Just the firelight.
No. Look again. There's a door behind them. We never took this picture. And that door isn't in this cabin.
Who took the picture?
Wow. Not creepy at all.
Day 1, arrival. Phoenix was first, fire was already lit, Jem brought in the drinks. Jimmy barely said a word. I think he's testing us. First impressions, the place feels old, but not dead. Something about the attic. That's not right. I didn't say that about Jimmy, not then. Jimmy Horrors arrived third, said the porch had bad energy, made eye contact twice. Right, and that's what happened. But that's not what I said on the tape. Jimmy barely said a word. I think he's testing us. Okay, let's try the photo entry. Kitchen drawer, beneath the forks, group photo, no timestamp, 8 figures, confirmed. Found photo in back of cookbook. 7 people, 1 shadow, looks like smoke. That's not where I found it. That's not what I said. Do any of you remember where we found the photo?
Yeah, this morning, you were sorting mugs.
Where did I say I found it?
In the knife drawer.
No, wait. You said behind the coffee tin, right?
You pulled it from a book, the cookbook. I remember.
I didn't. I said the knife drawer. I wrote down the knife drawer. And now, my notes say something else. You said this place remembers.
It does.
Then how do we know it's not remembering for us?
Maybe it is.
Or maybe it's rewriting and we're just catching up.
Okay, can we just talk about the tape thing again?
Which one? The one that plays stories we haven't told? Or the one that rewrites notebooks?
The labels. The reels on this table. Phoenix's name is on one.
Viidith's too. That wasn't there yesterday, was it?
No, it wasn't. But this one's waiting.
For who?
So wait. What are we saying? That this machine is cataloguing us? Like it's making an archive?
That's what it feels like. Like it's keeping our voices, filing them away.
For what? Playback? Blackmail? Haunt Flex originals?
Not payback, preservation. Another memory changed. This place isn't listening. It's recording.
Did you see the third wheel move? Okay, so what happens if we stop telling stories?
Or worse, what if we can't stop?
What if it's not asking for the stories? What if it's leaving room for them?
Maybe the stories aren't feeding off us. Maybe they're feeding into us.
You mean they're changing us?
I mean, maybe the stories didn't come from us at all. Maybe they were inserted.
You ever tell a story that didn't feel like yours, but when you finished it, it felt like it had always been waiting for you? Yeah, that.
Guess I'm next.
Is it weird if I say I don't want to hear your story?
Probably not the weirdest thing we've said today.
You okay?
No, but I'm ready. It moved.
What?
The photo?
The figure. It's not behind the group anymore. It's in the doorway, facing us.
Is the door open?
Not in the photo, but maybe it doesn't need to be.
Does it have a face now?
Not yet. Let's just get this over with.
Your story, your voice. No interruptions, no backing out.
I wouldn't dream of it. When I was 13, I saw myself die. It wasn't a dream. It wasn't a metaphor. It was me. Same eyes, same voice, same scar on my hand, staring back at me from the mirror in my childhood bedroom. And she smiled. I didn't tell anyone, of course. 13-year-olds don't report that sort of thing, especially not the overachieving, always logical, mother-pleasing kind. The kind that reads through the night and color codes her folders. The kind that doesn't cry at funerals, even when she should. You don't get to be believed when your first sentence is, "My reflection smiled at me after I stopped moving." So I buried it, like you do with things that don't fit the narrative. But I remember. It was late October. My parents were at some dinner party, one of those grown-up social obligations where people sip wine and say things they don't mean. I was home alone, reading in my room, nestled under my old quilt that smelt like dust and dryer sheets. A thunderstorm had begun crawling towards the neighborhood all afternoon. The sky the color of overripe fruit, too swollen to hold its shape. I loved storms, the sound mostly. Thunder gave the illusion that something bigger than the house was moving through the world, that someone else was making noise so I didn't have to. The power flickered once, then died. The clock radio went dark. The hallway buzzed into silence. No panic, just a pause. I got up to find a flashlight. There was one in the bathroom drawer, a heavy silver one with cracked buttons that stuck if you pushed them too hard. I padded down the hallway, barefoot, trailing static from my socks on the carpet. And that's when it happened. Lightning, a sharp, brilliant tear through the sky, flashing just as I stepped past the mirror hanging across the bathroom. And in that fraction of a second, my reflection didn't move. I saw myself still as a painting, watching me with wide-awake eyes. Her head was tilted slightly, not unnaturally, just off, like she was posing. But it wasn't the pose that paralyzed me. It was the smile. Not a grin, not a smirk, just a soft, knowing upturn of the mouth, the kind you see on people who have been let in on a secret you're not ready for. By the time the next lightning flash came, she was gone. Or rather, she was me again, matching my panic, my wide eyes, my slack jaw, normal. I dropped the flashlight. I don't remember falling, but I must have, because I came to on the hallway floor, cold all over, my limbs slack and tingling. My mother said I must have fainted, low blood sugar, maybe. Stress from school, hormones. No one believed me when I told them that I didn't trip, that I hadn't even turned my head, and I didn't mention the smile, or the delay, or the way the hallway suddenly felt like a corridor that didn't belong to me. I stopped looking in mirrors after that. Not entirely, you can't, not in this world. But I stopped seeking myself out in them. I brushed my teeth by muscle memory. I combed my hair without meeting my own eyes. At school, I used the stall furthest from the row of mirrors. At home, I let steam fog the bathroom before showers. My reflection became a thing I checked only when necessary, like a clock or a warning sign. Years passed, the memory faded, not entirely, but enough. I wrote it off as a hallucination, a side effect of the blackout and adrenaline. A trick of the light, that's what everyone says. Trick of the light. But deep down, I knew better. I hadn't imagined it. She had smiled at me. Not kindly, not cruelly, just knowingly. Like someone watching a movie they've already seen. Like someone waiting for a cue. I started paying attention to other people's reflections after that. Not in an obvious way. I wasn't obsessed, not yet, but I noticed. In windows, in shop glass, in the gloss of a cafeteria tray. I watched how other people's movements lined up. Most of the time they did, but sometimes they were a beat off. A leg, a flicker, a subtle drag in the image, and no one even seemed to notice but me. By the time I was 17, I learned to live around mirrors. By 25, I could give presentations, pose for photos, and hold eye contact with my own reflection for a few seconds at a time. But I never liked it, because deep down that 13-year-old memory never lost its edge. It didn't dull with time like the others. It stayed sharp, polished, waiting. Like glass. Then a few years ago, I drowned. Not for long, 48 seconds they said, maybe a minute. A car accident, one of those low probability scenarios. Wet road, black ice, a turn too fast. I hit a guardrail and plunged into a runoff ditch already half filled with cold spring water. I remember the cold more than the crash. The sound cut out. My body didn't hurt. It just disappeared. Like I was floating in skin that no longer belonged to me. And in that moment, as the surface broke above me, I looked up and saw her again. Reflected in the skin of the water, smiling, waiting. I don't remember waking up. I remember the machines, the beeping, the too white light of the hospital room, the smell of antiseptic and synthetic linens. My mother crying, not from relief, but from that thin, worn-out place where relief and grief overlap. I remember a nurse adjusting the IV and smiling like she had been told to, but I don't remember coming back. There was no tunnel, no light, no cosmic warmth, just cold, and a face I recognized in the water. Not the EMTs, not God, mine, but not quite mine. They said I was lucky, miraculously so. A few seconds later, and the damage could have been permanent. Hypoxia, brain trauma, death. Instead, I was sitting up the next morning, drinking ice water through a straw and apologizing to the attending physician for being a difficult case. That's what I do. I apologize for disruptions, even when I'm the one who almost died. It started the second night home from the hospital. I was brushing my teeth, slowly, carefully, mindful of the bruises on my ribs, when I caught it in the mirror. A pause. My reflection blinked to bead after I did, not dramatically, not enough that most people would have noticed. But I'm not most people. I've trained my whole life to notice things that don't line up. So when my reflection paused, even for half a breath, I knew she was back. For the first few days, I chalked it up to exhaustion, trauma, stress. Doctors love that word, stress. It covers every sin, every anomaly. I'd been through a lot. I was bound to be a little off. But it didn't stop. It escalated. The delays became more frequent. At first, it was just a blink or a head tilt, like I was buffering. Then came the gestures I never made, a shift of the shoulder, a hand tightening on the sink, a smirk I felt but didn't give. She was performing me, rehearsing. I started testing it, little things. I'd reach for the tap with one hand, then switch at the last second. Sometimes she got it right. Sometimes she didn't. I'd stare into the mirror, holding completely still, waiting for her to flinch. Sometimes she blinked first, and every time she did, the smile was back. I stopped using the bathroom mirror, then the hallway mirror, then my phone's front-facing camera. The last straw was a video call with a colleague. A quick check-in about our research grant schedule. We were mid-conversation when I noticed her face twitch, eyes flick to the side. "Everything okay?" I asked. She looked confused. "You just waved." I hadn't. I checked the reflection in the little video preview window, and there I was, hand raised, smiling. The screens became like traps, like windows with something pressed just behind the glass. I started covering them, small acts at first, a towel draped over the bathroom mirror, a sticky note over the webcam, my phone set face down whenever I wasn't using it. But it wasn't about the screens, it was about her. She wasn't in the glass, she was in me. That's when the dreams started. I'd wake with a feeling of having had a conversation. Not a nightmare, not a vision. Just a long, quiet conversation with someone who sounded like me. I could never remember the words, only the sense of mutual understanding. That feeling you get when a deal had been struck, even if you didn't realize you agreed to anything. It wasn't fear exactly. It was erosion. A slow undoing of my confidence in things I thought were permanent. My body, my thoughts, my timeline. Reality became an unstable file, something that could be edited. And the edits weren't sloppy, they were surgical. I found a photograph on my desk, one I don't remember taking. I candid. I'm sitting at my laptop, writing in my notebook. Only the angle is off. It's from over my shoulder, as if someone had taken it from the hallway. No one else had been home. The timestamp was at 1:13 a.m. I don't write at that hour, and I don't wear the red sweater anymore. I gave it to a thrift shop months ago, but in the photo, I'm wearing it, and I'm smiling. It happened in the grocery store, one of those long, exhausted afternoons where you go in for milk and leave with 4 items you didn't need and a vague sense that your body doesn't quite fit anymore. I've been sleepwalking through errands for weeks, barely present, until a woman in the produce aisle looked up from her apples and said, "You're back." I stopped, turned. "Sorry?" She blinked. "You're the one that helped me pick out the tomatoes last week. You were wearing the same coat." She pointed to the sleeve, a black wool wrap I hadn't worn since last winter. I wasn't here last week, I said, and this coat's been in storage. She frowned, smiled in that too polite, must have made a mistake kind of way, and turned back to her cart. But I could feel it. A gap, a glitch, someone else in my place trying me on for size. 2 days later, I got a text from a friend I hadn't spoken to in months. "Hey, saw you across the street near 4th and Cypress. Meant to wave, but you were booking it, LOL." I hadn't been near 4th and Cypress in a year, maybe? Definitely not that day. I asked what time. She said 4:15. At 4:15, I had been in my apartment, writing, alone, lights off, screen covered. I checked my security camera feed, not because I expected anything, but because I needed to know. At 4:15, I was sitting at my desk. At 4:14, there's a shadow in the hallway. Tall, still, watching through the crack in the door. Just watching, and then it's gone. The mirrors started calling to me again. Not literally, no whispering, no voices, just the same gravitational pull they had when I was 13. The knowledge that if I looked, she'd be looking too. I started keeping tally marks in the back of my notebook every time something slipped. A blink out of sync, a gesture I never made, a person waving to me who shouldn't have, a dream I couldn't remember but woke from smiling. The page filled quickly, then I stopped counting. At some point, it became hard to tell who was doing the watching. Was I keeping an eye on her, or was she waiting for me to look? I tried a test. I stood in front of the bathroom mirror for 20 minutes, unblinking, unmoving. A simple task, but exhausting. About 8 minutes in, I felt the first shift, a tremor in my reflection's shoulder, not mine. Then the right eye twitched. Then the mouth tilted slightly, like it was remembering something I hadn't yet experienced. I reached for the mirror, hand trembling, and tapped the glass. She didn't flinch. She just leaned forward, close enough that I could see everything. The pores I didn't have, the scar on her chin I never got, and her lips moved just once. She mouthed a word, not a name, a sentence. "You're doing fine." I destroyed that mirror. Shattered it with the heel of a shoe, piercing everywhere, like snow made of knives. My hands were bleeding, but I didn't stop until every shard was dust or edge. And even then, I kept expecting the surface to reform, like she was just waiting for me to give her another face. The next day, I received an email from an address I didn't recognize. No subject, no message, just an attachment. A photo of me standing in my kitchen, turned towards the stove. Only I wasn't holding a phone, and I wasn't wearing those clothes. And the file name was mirrored_001.jpg. I deleted it. But the next morning, there was a second one. Mirrored_002.jpg. And this time, I was asleep. I started seeing her in windows, in the microwave door, the side mirror of my car, the black screen of my phone, even when it was off. Always just standing there, waiting. Sometimes she mimicked me, sometimes she didn't. And worst of all, sometimes I caught my own reflection watching her. I asked myself every day, what does she want? But deep down, I already knew she didn't want to mimic. She wanted permission to step through. At first, I assumed she was trying to become me, that she wanted my life, my face, my name, my voice, and that the mirrors were her doorway. But the more I watched, the more I realized she doesn't want to become me. She wants me to admit that I'm not me anymore. The first thing that disappeared was the birthmark on my shoulder, small, pale, just below the collarbone, shaped vaguely like a comma. I'd had it all my life. I used to trace it when I was anxious. One morning, I stepped out of the shower, wiped the steam from the mirror, and it wasn't there, just skin, smooth, blank. I checked again, nothing. But in the reflection behind me, there it was, clear as ever. A few days later, I found my old college ID in a drawer I hadn't opened in years. My photo, my name, my face. Only, the expression was wrong, too still, too flat, like I'd been sedated. I flipped it over. The back had handwriting on it, mine, a quote I used to love. What if you woke up and you were someone else's dream? I stared at it for 10 minutes. I had no memory of writing that, but I knew the way the pen moved. It was mine. I started digging, not because I was looking for proof, but because I was hoping to find a lie I could live with. Medical records, emails, journals, some things were as I remembered. Some weren't. The dates were off by hours, sometimes days. I'd written journal entries in ink I don't own, posted social media updates at times I was unconscious. There were voice memos on my phone, files I don't remember recording. Remember the lake, the hand in the glass. She spoke first. The voice is mine, but it's not saying what I think. I stopped checking mirrors, stopped checking photos, stopped answering people said my name, not out of fear, but because each time they said it, it felt less real, less mine. I watched a recording of myself sleeping, a camera I'd set up in desperation, just to prove that the images I received were fake, or manipulated, or hallucinated. The footage was quiet, normal, my room dark, lit only by a low-pulse router light. I'm in bed, still. At 3:12 a.m., I sat up. Not fast, not sudden, just fluid. I look towards the camera and I smile. Not at the lens, it's something behind it. Then I lie back down, perfectly calm, the blankets never shift. I wake hours later with no memory of movement. There's a name for this, I'm sure, some dissociative condition, some rare neurological effect caused by trauma or oxygen loss or stress. But knowing that doesn't help, because I'm not worried I'm losing myself. I'm worried I'm not the one who made it back. Sometimes in the morning, I catch her in the window as the light changes, and she looks peaceful, composed, like someone who finally got what she wanted. And I wonder, not with fear, but with something like envy, what if she was always the real one? What if I'm the echo? What if the drowning didn't break me? What if the water just let the wrong me float to the surface? And what if she's still there beneath the glass, smiling up at the world I stole from her? I stopped leaving the house. I told people I was sick. Work knew about the accident, so no one questioned the extended leave. A few well-meaning messages trickled in, friends checking in, offering errands, distractions, a glass of wine, and a real conversation. I didn't answer. I couldn't, because by then, it wasn't just the mirrors, it was the screens. The television, long unplugged, began flickering at 1:13 a.m. each night. Always static, always silent, until one night it wasn't. I walked past the screen, half asleep, and saw myself reflected in the black. Wide eye, lips moving, mouthing something I couldn't hear. No sound, just that motion, like a secret or a threat, or both. I smashed the television. The next night it was my phone. I left it in a drawer, screen down, powered off. At 1:13 a.m., it turned on. No sound, no ring, just a selfie of me. But I wasn't holding the phone, and I wasn't smiling. And behind me in the photo was a mirror I didn't own. That's when the dreams came back. Not the drifting kind, not symbols and shapes and wish echoes. These dreams were vivid, anchored. I'd be standing in the middle of a room, dark, cold, pulsing with some slow, subterranean hum, and across from me would be her. Identical in form, different in intention. She wouldn't move. She didn't have to. She just stood there, blinking at the same time I did, breathing with the same rhythm, letting me see her, see me. And in the dream, I always reached forward. Every time. One morning, I woke with glass dust on my fingertips. No mirrors were smashed, nothing was shattered, but the skin along my palm was lined with microscopic cuts, thin and precise as paper slices, as if I touched a reflection too roughly, as if I pushed too hard trying to break through. I started boarding up the house, not dramatically, no hammering in the night, no nail planked across the windows, just slow isolation. Curtains pinned, monitors unplugged, sheets taped over glass, microwave turned to face the wall, black tape over the stove's digital clock. No reflections, not even in metal. I took the knobs off the faucet. I stopped boiling water in the kettle because the curve of it looked too much like a mouth. But she found her way in anyway. Not through the mirrors, through myself. I lose time, seconds, then minutes. Not daydreaming, not sleeping, just absent. I reach for a mug and find one already in my hand. I'd reread the same sentence 5 times and realize I was already 3 pages ahead with no memory of the turn. One night, I found a message written on my bathroom wall, faint, lipstick, just above the sink where the mirror used to hang. Thank you for making room. I don't own lipstick. I don't wear red. There's something else too, something I haven't told anyone, not even in these recordings. When I look down at my hands now, I sometimes think they aren't mine. The joints are too loose. The palms don't line up. The scar on my index finger is missing. But only sometimes. Only when I'm tired. Only when I forget to pretend that this body still feels familiar. So here's what I think now. I don't think she wants to hurt me. I think she wants me to step aside. I think she's asking for space. I think I've been housing her ever since I came back from the water. And maybe I'm the one who's overstayed. Last night I stood in front of the window at 1:13 a.m., drew the curtain aside. The storm had passed. The sky was clean, clear, mirror black, and in the reflection, she was waving, not at me, to me, as if to say, "It's time." Last night, I uncovered the last mirror, the one behind the closet door, tall, warped, glass just slightly silvered with age. I'd forgotten it was there, or maybe I simply stopped allowing myself to remember. but I found it while cleaning, compulsively, pointlessly, in the way you do when your body no longer trusts itself to rest. It was covered with an old bedsheet, soft and thin with time. When I peeled it away, dust bloomed into the air like ash, and there she was, waiting. She looked like me. Of course she did. Same eyes, same hair, same tired slope of the shoulders. But something was different. Not in the face, in the intention, in the posture. She looked prepared, like someone who's already packed for a journey they know you won't understand. I raised my hand. She did the same. I nodded. She didn't. I don't remember sitting down, but I did, cross-legged on the floor, facing the mirror like a child in a quiet ritual. And I said softly, "I'm ready." She smiled. Not cruelly, not smugly, but gently, like she'd been waiting for me to catch up, like she was glad we'd finally agreed. The light changed in the room. Not much. A shift in the tone of the lamp. A ripple in the way my shadow fell. It felt like the world had inhaled. I reached towards the mirror, and for the first time, my hand didn't meet glass. It met skin. Warm, alive, firm. And it pulled. There was no panic, no sting, no scream. Just the sensation of being unwrapped, like a husk coming off a fruit, like stepping out of a version of myself I've already grown past. I watched her, me, standing up in my place. She stretched her neck, rolled her wrist, then walked across the room, slow and calm. She didn't look back. She didn't need to. Now it's quiet in here, cool, soft-edged. I sit in the mirror space, in the glass side, and I wait. I watch her brush her teeth, check her phone, water the plants I neglected. She doesn't avoid the mirror anymore. She meets it. I'm not angry. I'm not afraid. I feel right. Like I returned to the place I was always meant to be. The still side, the echo space. And now I understand. It was never about survival. It was about succession. She's not pretending. She's not stealing. She's simply inhabiting. And I am the reflection now. I don't move unless she does. But sometimes, in the quiet moments when the lights are low, when she isn't paying attention, and when she blinks and I don't, I let myself smile. Just enough for her to see. Just enough for her to wonder.
Another tale handed over.
Another tribute.
Guys, this is ridiculous. We need to leave.
Why?
This all feels wrong.
Let's just have another shot of this whiskey here. We're in it till the end.
That we are.
Till the very end.
And with that, our time together on my channel is coming to an end, but the series is not over quite yet. This story was The Other Side of Still, written by Jimmy Horrors, aka James Barnett. The lovely voices that you heard were Phoenix Fire, Range Harper from Morbid Forest, Ponch Monster, Gemini reads, Viidith, and Jimmy Horrors himself. Links for the next story will be down below, as well as the links to these talented narrators. Before you go, please like, subscribe, and comment, and I hope to see you again in the future. Sleep tight, and don't let 42 bite.